Test, test, test. I'm going to mute you. All right. We got 2 people in the house, 4 people in the house. I'm going to give it about 30, 45 seconds and allow some people to come in so they can catch this introduction live. I'm excited today. For those of you who have never caught us before, my name is Todd Medina. I represent an energy called Sola G that's been around for about 12 years, and that's moving into an expansive field of consciousness just like the rest of us. One of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a specific show every week we call the Soulogy Spotlight Show of the Week, where we come out with something that's a little bit different, original, introducing new people and new concepts. And so I'm real excited this week. We've got a couple of beautiful souls that are going to be spending some time together. This hasn't been rehearsed, just like everything else with Soulogy. But we have a beautiful sister by the name of Toothman that many of you know, that's been involved in these communities for a long, long time. And she's one of those that represents that space in between the Mother Goddess, Divine Feminine energy that really makes up all these communities. We haven't seen these personalities out on the screen over the years, which has always been kind of interesting to me, since they make up 80% of these communities, and yet about 20% of what we see on lives and videos. So I'm real excited to be supporting the Divine Feminine and the Mother Goddess's own as they come out. So many of them have been talking about they're being nudged, they've been reluctant, they've been apprehensive, but now they know it's safe to come out, and I'm very honored to be part of a platform that supports this energy. So without further ado, we're going to introduce hopefully what will be a new show on the Soulogy network that Anna Toothman will be spearheading. And she has a beautiful friend of hers, Sarah, that's going to be joining her today. So I'm going to put these 2 beautiful faces on the screen and take off my ugly mug. So without further ado, let me bring them on now. Ladies, it's all yours.
Hi. Welcome to the family. Welcome to Soulogy, where it is an open space to share your truth and your beautiful soul, just the way that it is. Just the way that I met you is who I want you to be today, and that's what I want to talk about. And so let us relax. Let's pretend that we're sitting on the couch like we did the other day. And where do you want to start? What do you want to tell us about Sarah?
Where do I start? I mean, I would love to start with how we met, because I love all the synchronicities that have been happening in my life and in the people around me. And the more awareness I have now of how things just kind of appear, it's so beautiful. And the way we met, it was such divine timing. I was, in a place where I was really working on my own personal growth and my own, just kind of at that stage in my ascension and in my growth where I was looking for a friend. Honestly, looking for someone like you who can help guide me. And you just kind of, it's funny, we ended up crossing paths a few times, and then just at the right time we connected, and it was so beautiful, and it's just developed into this amazing friendship that I'm so eternally grateful for. So
I do adore you. I do. And I remember when we met as well, I could hear you speaking, and talking to your friends, and I could hear what you were talking about, and it would make me smile. So right away, I knew who you were. And so I was curious to even connect with you further and really develop this friendship and this community that we've built there. I love each and every one of you. You're more than just friends to me. Um, and it's important. There is a sort of elite feeling sometimes that people perceive in the spiritual community, right? That if you're not um, vibrating at a certain frequency or dressing a certain way or acting a certain way or around the right circles, that you you're not in ascension, you're not doing the inner work. And I realize in my own inner growing that by going out and holding that frequency, it is helping me learn to not only hold that vibration, but also get a collective field, right? I mean, we're out there sharing our love with everybody, and that is the whole point.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and everyone's on a different path. And some people are in a lot of that, they're in that period where they're facing a lot of the density within them. But they're still, at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all these spiritual beings trying to navigate this human experience, which can be extremely challenging and difficult. And um, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of inner work, and I that's why you've been so valuable to my life, and all of my friendships is they all mirror back things to me that I need to look at, and also just all of your guidance on not feeling alone, because that's the biggest thing. Um, I'm sure, like a lot of people at the beginning of you know my awareness and my awakening, or kind of understanding of there is something more going on, there is there is a period where you do feel very alone.
Mhm.
um I'm the weird girl in the room that likes to talk about aliens. Everyone else is looking at me like, oh boy, here we go. She's just a little out there. And now it's so cool. I have so much connection with people, and I can talk about the things that have always fascinated me because I'm a curious person. I'm always seeking more knowledge, and questioning what is reality. And I love that so many other people are now. It's so cool. It's so cool to watch. It's so cool to witness that we're in this stage, in the human evolution, that people are expanding in such a beautiful way. And there's so many more of us now than there was, and it just continues to grow.
And that's the proof. That's the proof that we speak about, right? I always tell you. I mean, look around. What are the conversations that our people are having? Even if you and I are just having a personal conversation, the people around us are all talking about the same thing, and they're not within these circles. And so, to me, that is the proof of the shift, that it is occurring on a global scale, on a
Yeah.
multi-level scale, right? And so it's very important that we connect with everyday people, right? Because this is about the evolution of humanity as a whole, right? And
Correct.
the way we do that, of course, is by doing our inner work and bringing our soul light within and embodying that truth and holding that compassion and learning, right? And I've said, Sarah, use everyone around you to reflect back to you where you are in your journey. And you do that for me, and I do that for you. And so it's really important, the people that are listening right now, that we are reflecting something back to them. And so, where are you, would you say, in your journey now versus from when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. When I was a kid, I was just confused all the time, and there was a lot more fear. when I was really young, I struggled a lot with my health. So that became kind of my I guess my big thing in when I was a child was, am I safe in my body? Is my body going to support me? It felt so unsafe at times. And I created these labels for myself. Is like, I'm kind of a sickly person and this and that, you know? And then when I started getting older, um, you know, I started having to deal with all that trauma coming back. And, you know, when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time in my imagination because that felt safe. I think there was a lot of time because I don't have a ton of memories from childhood. And I think a lot of the time during my childhood, I spent in kind of my own make believe reality. It felt safer outside of my body. And then when I became a teenager, that's when all of that started coming back. All that trauma and the density started coming to the surface. And maybe it was the beginning of my awakening. It felt like it because I went into kind of a spiral, you know, a lot of anxiety, a lot of just chronic panic attacks. And, you know, it was such a tumultuous time in my life, and um, I felt like the world that I lived in didn't support, and my body wasn't safe. The world I lived in didn't support what I felt internally. I never fit in. There were so many things that just felt wrong. And you know, I still did all the things. I still went to school. I did all the things that I was told were important to do. And the way I coped with a lot of my anxiety, you know, they put me on medication at a young age. That was the only thing that they could do. I started drinking alcohol, which was a way to numb and basically cope with living in this physical body. And it wasn't until it really wasn't until I got sober about 8 years ago that I started realizing all of that time that I'd spent trying to escape myself. Um, I had to, I had to do the reverse. I had to go inside myself, and there was a lot to do. And that's when I really started. Um, that's where the growth began. That's where the growth began, as far as like getting my connection back to source, getting my um, stripping the masks off, because I had so many, like, how do I describe this? It was like I had all of these masks that I would put on and these personas that I created around myself that were not based on my true identity. So I didn't know who I was. And when you're starting from a place where you don't know who you are, it's really hard to navigate, because I would try to go back to those false identities and I would get knocked down really quick.
Mhm.
And that's when I started having all these, you know, things. I call it things happening for me, not to me, to show me who I am. And they came through relationships, they came through work environments, they came through all different types of what some would
Relationships.
call relationships, right? I
Relationships, right?
a
They
lot.
really mirror back um, what we believe about ourselves, right?
100%. 100%. Because I was not worthy of love. That's what I believed. So I just created more, you know, I had people come into my life that would just make me feel unloved, of course. And why? Because that's how I viewed myself. So again, they were giving me the opportunity to look inward and to understand why I felt that way in the first place.
Right. And now we realize the role that they played in our lives, right? I'm grateful for every single relationship and friendship, and everything that has occurred up to this moment has only brought the light of who I am brighter, right? Because
Absolutely.
I'm learning, right? We're always learning and we'll always continuously evolve, right?
Yes.
So every moment is a new moment.
Yes.
We can, by what we're perceiving, lets us know where we are vibrationally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's hard to see it when you're in it, but the more experiences you start to pile up, right? The more experiences where it's like, why do I keep having to repeat that? Why is it that I keep having a very similar version of that experience happen over and over? And then when you realize, oh, maybe it's something that I'm putting out there or something that I'm needing to look at internally to heal, that you can shift that into something new, and that's when a new experience comes in, and then maybe there's a lesson in that. It never ends. That's what I feel. It never really ends. There's always something to learn. And sometimes even the people in our lives that are the most, aligned to our vibration are still, we're still learning and growing. But the really painful experiences, I call it the loop. Like you get stuck in sometimes in a loop where you keep having to face a similar experience just in a different package over and over and over again to look at it. And that's why, sometimes you hear of, for instance, in relationships, oh my gosh, I always attract the narcissist, or, I always end up giving so much of myself, and then the person takes advantage of me. And that was something that I personally experienced because I had to be worth something, right? I had to be able to offer something that made me worthwhile.
Mm.
And so giving and giving and giving until I deplete myself, and then in turn being left with nothing left. And it's like, I have to take accountability for that. And that's what I learned. I have to take accountability for that because I allowed that, but also there was something to learn from that experience. Why do I feel like I need to do that, And I'm learning.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sarah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, these things keep coming back in front of us to look at. It's so to see how our reaction, if it changes, that's where the change comes from. The change
Mhm.
comes, how is my reaction now to what's presented in front of me?
Yes.
Right? And that's where we see our growth, is that non-responsive, right? It didn't trigger us. Oh, that didn't trigger me. Yay, right? I don't hold any judgment against it. Or hey, you start recognizing, I must have learned that lesson, or I passed this level of awareness because there was no charge there,
Right.
right? And so that's where we're at collectively, individually, is really taking a look. And like for myself, I'll speak for myself. Right now, I'm learning to hold my vibration to the highest that of my ability. And the true test of that, because I can hold it really high right here in my safe space. The true work is when I'm out. When I'm out around people that I don't know, that I've never met, can I hold that vibration around every scenario, every human being? Can I be that presence of love that I so have seeked, right? That I know that I am and that you are. And so that's where the real training comes from. And I'm doing it every day, continuously, checking in with myself, taking a pause. Where am I vibrationally? What is this teaching me?
Mhm.
And that's what we do when you and I are interacting, right? That's what you do for me. You may not realize it. And also, it helps me see how present I am. We'll be in a conversation, and if my mind wanders, then I realize in that moment, wait a minute, I didn't just hear what she just told me.
Oh,
I wasn't
yes.
listening, right?
Having a multidimensional
Right. And so every moment is a teachable moment for us.
Yeah, yeah. That's a tough one for me. I totally get that. I mean, that's we joke about that because yeah, I space out, or all of a sudden my attention is over here, over here, over here, and I think yeah, I said once, I'm like, I feel like I'm just having that ADD type experience right now, and you're like, call it multidimensional. I'm like, I like that better. It's not so, because the labels are just labels at the end of the day, right?
They
We all
are. They
for things
absolutely
we
are.
don't understand. Yeah. And one of the things I that you really drilled home to me as far as like something that I thought I'd been practicing but I hadn't, was having boundaries. And
Mm.
I want you to kind of, because I'm not going to be able to explain it as well, but how do you move through your everyday life in unconditional love but also have that healthy boundary, and what does that look like? Because if I try to explain it, I'm going to botch it, but I love the way you describe that.
Um, it's what I will and will not allow, right? Those are what you're perceiving as boundaries.
Right.
To be able to say, no, no, I'm not a part of that, or I'm not a part of that conversation, or I won't allow that behavior around me. Or, you reach to a certain level of self respect that your reality becomes that reflected back to you. And so when we're having moments where you're having to set up what we're talking about boundaries, is because, yeah, you have something to look at, right? When we discussed your previous situations, I said, you're allowing this, right? You're allowing someone to do this. So the minute that you stopped allowing that behavior, or no longer having that in your reality, your awareness expanded and changed,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
one of
You were
the things I noticed too is when I was allowing that particular situation to continue, like without putting my boundary up, right? Is I would sit there and it would just bother me, and I would build like this. I would think about it a lot, and it's like, hmm, like something in me, it's triggering something, or it's something that it's unhealed, right? And once I kind of realized why I kept reacting in the way I did, where I felt like I was, I thought I'd put boundaries up, correct? Like I put up boundaries and then they were dismissed. And I realized it wasn't that I was putting it, like it's not that I wasn't putting boundaries up. It was that I was embodying that boundary of knowing that what, like, really genuinely feeling at the deepest part of my soul, like, this is not what I deserve and this is unacceptable, but
right.
feeling it like a space of self-love, because putting a boundary up and just being like, no, I don't allow this, but also like kind of having the same, like holding that same energy of like, well, yeah, but I'm not really holding that energy. I'm fumbling my words, of course. Trying to explain this.
No, I
But
understand what you're saying, and it's coming
thank
through
you.
clearly. Yes, no, it is. And I understand what you're saying, right? Because
Okay.
a lot of the things that we're learning and experiencing, we can say them, we realize them, we have this, well, I
Right.
knowing and I understand, but then we have to embody it, right? You have to
Yes.
physicalize it and bring it in within, right? It's yours, it's you, right? So we understand things, we read things, we know things, but then we embody them in here. And when you have it within here, then it all starts to make sense, right?
Yeah,
Then it's more
exactly.
flow.
Yeah, it's different too, because once you embody it, you your boundary doesn't get crossed. Like it doesn't, you recognize it immediately. Oh, this is something that is, not acceptable. Like this is not something that I'm willing to go forward with, or,
And eventually
my
there is no
boundaries.
boundary. Eventually
Yeah.
there is no boundaries,
Yeah.
right? Because then we're all playing on that,
Right.
vibration equals vibration, right? So when we're aligned with each other in a higher vibrational frequency and we're holding that space from our heart is expanded, we're open, there is no boundaries, is what I mean when the boundaries go away. And so that's will develop more in our relationships, is you'll find that there's no boundaries needed
Right. That makes
because you're
sense.
standing within your power.
Mm-hmm. That
And
makes
once
total.
you hold that within yourself, it projects from you, right? So that when you encounter someone else or having an exchange with someone, they feel that presence within you, that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They know, right? It's like unspoken. It doesn't have to be spoken
Right.
because you
And
carry that now.
exactly. And obviously, right now we're in a period too where there is a lot of, there's a lot of people out there where they have density that's coming to the surface, or, and one of the things is, people aren't able to hide who they really are anymore, and like
Mhm.
you see people for who they are, or where their energy is at, and it's it's been really interesting and fascinating to watch unfold. And
I love that answer, right? You self corrected the answer. You said where energy is at versus the person, right?
oh
Because
yeah,
and
100%.
I love that. That's showing me how much you are embodying yourself, right? You're recognizing in that moment that the person who you're describing, whoever this may be, is has density, you said, right? The words were density. And really that soul is vibrating at a lower vibrational
Yeah.
awareness, right? Because we're all multi-level,
Mm-hmm.
dimensional, right? And when we meet someone in a higher vibrational state, their highest state meets us,
Mm,
right?
yes.
Because we are all having one experience, right? Source is within us.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone that I encounter, I see them as a reflection of me,
Right.
right? If I see my light within, then I can only see the light within you.
Mm,
It has just evolved through the process. This wasn't an overnight thing,
right.
right? This has been a work in progress. And I've told you that from day one, right? I said, I'm in training, right?
Yeah.
I'm training to be divine reflection of source in form. That is my desire to be the embodiment of my highest self that is physically possible on earth, right?
And your dedication to that is always, I've always admired, like how dedicated you are to that. And it's beautiful to watch. And I can see you as you become more and more of your highest, higher self. Like I can like actually, like, you just radiate so much unconditional love. It's very cool.
Thank you.
We
Well,
just sit here and compliment each other all the time.
here's the thing: is how I understand that this game we call life and ascension is that to be uh, in reality, it's an all. It's for
Mm-hmm.
all. That's why we've done it. That's why we're doing what we do. It's for all of us, right? We're
Yes.
lifting each other up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the more of us that awaken to the truth within us, the faster this process will go.
Absolutely. And that's something you've taught me, or one of the things that, I always believed is I needed to search out. I needed like a mentor, somebody to teach me. And one of the things that you've always forced me to do is to go back within. and to realize that that it's up to me. You know, nobody can come in and guide you to the light. It's your own responsibility. We are responsible. It's our, you know, it's our job to do the work. And it's not about going and having, you know, going and getting a healing done and then leaving transformed. You have to do the work yourself. And that's something that you've always, you know, encouraged me and, you know, guided me towards, is that I have it all within me. I don't need to seek elsewhere. And all of it is accessible to me. And I think for me, I forgot, you know, obviously we come here and we forget, right? We come in forgetting how powerful we are and how we are the masters of our reality. We are the creators. We are source and form. And you're a good reminder of that for me. And it's been really helpful to feel more empowered within myself. Because I know when I'm doing the inner work and when I'm growing and evolving and, you know, on my journey, I'm helping everyone by doing that. I can't help others if I'm not doing the inner work myself.
That's right. And that's how it begins, right? And everyone around us and those that are on the call right now and who are listening, you know, it'll touch someone, right? Someone is listening that can relate to who we are, right? I don't know everything, but I know love and I know what that feels like. And that's who I am at the core, and that is who I want to be, right? The best version of Anna that I can be.
And
I want to talk about your paintings, if we can, for a second.
Yeah,
Can you
of
bring
course.
one of your paintings out and show people how creative you are, Sarah?
You want me to bring one of my paintings?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay, let me go grab the one that I just finished. I would love to share that one.
Yeah,
I'll be
okay.
right back.
All right. How's everybody? She's very creative, and she light encodes her artwork, and it's beautiful. And I'm just honored in this now moment to share this this time with all of you. Here she goes.
Okay, we'll see how this works. I think I'm just going to kind of pan it across the screen.
Okay, pan it back a little bit.
My iPad. Yeah, you can kind of see, whoops.
Wow.
Down. This is the one I just finished.
What inspired you to paint that, Sarah?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I never really pre-plan what I'm going to paint. I'll usually have like one idea of what I want to create. And with this particular painting, it started with, I painted the girl's face, just this beautiful face. And I've always loved painting beautiful things. And you know, but then I really, like, it just kind of went from there. A lot of times when I'm painting something, I don't really pre-plan it. Unless I'm doing a commission piece for somebody and there's a very specific thing that they want painted, I allow whatever it, like, I'll have a rough idea, but then I'm going to put a butterfly here. At first it was going to be roots, and then no, it needs to be a butterfly, and then, it just kind of goes from there. I don't know how to describe my process because it isn't a very conventional process with painting, although every artist is different, right? One of the things I do love doing is abstract art, because that really, I mean, it's just so free flow. You can really do anything. And it's so much fun. And especially when I'm feeling a lot of emotions and feeling, abstract helps me release it for whatever reason, especially. And then when I'm really feeling like I'm bringing in new energies, that's when something like the painting I just showed you, that tends to come out. So I really kind of go all across the board as far as styles with art. And I started painting 8 years ago, shortly after I stopped consuming alcohol and was sober. I decided that I needed an outlet, something that was going to feel healing for me, and it's always been art. Art for me is just what gives me that peace. When I'm creating something, I'm in that now moment, which I love. It feels good, right? Isn't that if it feels good, if it brings you joy, continue to do it. And there are times where it's not, I'm pushing it, like I want to paint something, but I'm just not feeling it. And sometimes I have to step away for a moment. Sometimes if I'm going through, a lot of intense energy, or going through like a growth period, I'll step away for a moment, but I always go back to it, and that's really what helps me. And that's something I was actually wanting to talk about, is how moving forward, a lot of people are changing up what they do for work and what they're doing. Like one of the things for me personally that I want, is I'm not able to work a 9 to 5 anymore. The amount of work that it takes just to navigate these energies, and the amount of commitment I have to honoring myself at this time, I can't exhaust myself with a job that is draining my energy. So I have had to navigate that, and it can be challenging at times, but you've been a great example of how you've honored that to the fullest, and your surrender and trust in that process, and how you've been able to just completely glide through the process. It's just amazing to me.
Like you said, Sarah, is my faith in this process and knowing the evolution of humanity and myself, and the level of inner work that I've done, and trusting that I was vibrating in at a higher state of beingness, and knowing that by stepping away from the normal 9 to 5 job was going to be the next leap of faith for me, so that I could arrive at this moment now with you. It was going to take me leaving that job or the comfort. It was, what's the word I'm looking for? I was just riding along, we got time. I've got time, still doing the work, but, you're truly, if you're not doing, like you said, what brings you joy, then you're not in your highest alignment. And it wasn't. I was settling. And I don't want to settle. No one should settle. None of us. There is no need for us not to have balance in our lives. That's what we're learning, right? That playtime, connection, art, music, singing, dancing, playing, what we were made to do and experience on this planet to begin with, right? Is to enjoy one another, to create, to have fun. And I know this sounds just like hippy dippy stuff, but it's not. It's real to me. It's real into to my being that we must free ourselves from the constructs of the old matrix, right? Our energy, where we put our energy, energy flows to. Our thoughts, our creation. When enough of us start creating from a new way, from our heart, you'll see the scales tipping. As we spoke earlier in the show, you're seeing that in reflection with people around us, right?
Absolutely.
Conversations, right? They're like, wait a minute. No, this isn't right. Something isn't right here. And so it does take faith and it does take trust that the last 6, 8 months that I took away from my 9 to 5 was my highest purpose. And I'm grateful for all the support that I receive. I'm grateful for Todd and Sola G. I'm thankful for so many brothers and sisters who have supported me throughout the years, including you, Sarah. You
Oh,
know, your friendship. It just means a lot to me, right? It means a lot to me to show the world that there's other ways of income, there's other ways to create, there's other ways to express other than being locked into a job, and spending 40, 50 hours a week and then sleeping and then repeating, being on repeat, like robots, just running around like robots. And we don't need to do that any longer. We are free and sovereign.
and it becomes more and more painful the longer you do it, and it's not aligned. And it's just amazing because, like, to me, what you're doing is so important. You're working on
Mhm.
it, but it's not deemed by society something that would, it's just not part of, I guess, the matrix. What you're doing is the most important thing right now.
Right. And it's the most important thing when you make embodying your soul, your light, a priority, then everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah,
And that's what I trust.
and
How do you,
it has.
I was going to ask you, Sarah, how do you
Yeah.
feel your growth has been in the last 6 months? From when I met you, you were speaking about things that I don't hear you speaking about now. So if you just want to
Oh,
kind of catch us up to how much the
oh,
vibration or your awareness level has changed.
I no longer allow the distractions to infiltrate my mind. I know that for certain. With my awakening, and I'm sure a lot of people, I got really wrapped up in, the a lot of the distortions, like the different conspiracies and what's going on over here and what's going on over there, and like, I loved paying attention to that, and I still like kind of dabbling in it, but I don't allow it to infiltrate my mind and have that be my focus. I would say a lot. I've turned my awareness a lot more inward. Um, I've become way more aware of my actions and reactions, and how, when I'm observing things, I have a lot more neutrality now because of my awareness as it expands more and more. Um, so I would say that's the biggest thing. It's just like, it's not this huge shift in the external per se, but the how I feel and how I perceive my day to day. There's just more calmness and stillness within the space I am now. And there was a period where, as I went inward, started shifting, the outward physical reality became very unstable, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
as things started being cleared. I almost call it like they're clearing away. As soon as I recognize what the lesson was within that, it clears itself away. And it felt, at the time when you're in it, it's not fun. But I could tell that the movement was speeding up into where I was going, because my ultimate goal is also to be on my highest vibrational path and my highest vibrational self that I can be. And once that became my priority, it's you just never know what is in your life. Because the programming runs so deep, right? And certain things need to be cleared away. And that's why, when you hear about people with manifestations or manifesting, I want to manifest this wonderful dream life. What's in your life right now that needs to be removed in order to get to the end destination? So people will sometimes think they're going backwards, right? And really, it's having the trust and surrender in the whole process. And where I'm at now, compared to where I was 6 months ago, is I feel more that I'm in my truth, and that the physical reality reflects that back to me in a profound way. I would say that's the biggest shift. The people in my life, the way I wake up every morning and my heart's just filled with gratitude for the smallest things. It's just a different presence that I feel. Being out in nature and just feeling joy, looking at the trees around me. And it's just, I don't consume I don't allow the same information to take up residence in my mind. I don't allow my mind to spin on things. I catch it quicker. And this is all it takes practice, it takes dedication, but I still fall back to it from time to time. I'll have moments in my day where I'm like, just ruminating on some stuff, but I catch myself now and I'm like, oh, is this where I want to put my attention? Is this where, I would say that's the biggest shift. And I have a lot more trust and surrender the more I feel authentically myself, and that I'm doing the work, and the gratitude. That's huge. Being grateful, not only for the good things, but for the things that feel bad, because really what is good and bad? It's just all
Awareness and perception,
awareness.
right?
Yeah.
Right. It's
Just
awareness and
yeah,
perception.
right.
And we've talked about distractions, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about how there's things in this community, in the truther movement, may you call it the conspiracy theorists, the new age, whatever labels people are using or want to, it doesn't matter to me, because a lot of us woke up through that conspiracy movement. For myself 15 years ago, I'm grateful for them, and they have their place as well. You get to a certain level of awareness and enlightenment that those things can become distractions, right? And we spoke about this yesterday, I believe, or the day before. You had asked me, how do you know if it's the inorganic,
I'm so
right?
glad yes.
You asked me, how do you know when it's the inorganic ascension timeline or the organic timeline? And my response, do you remember what it was? It is
It's
okay if
love.
you don't.
Wait, okay, I'm not going to say it as well as you, of course. But basically, if it's this beautiful loving message, but there's fear in it. Is that kind of how you would describe it? Or there's like a message, it's fear, but it's coming across in like a loving way, or there's some element of fear in it.
Right, because there's truth mixed in with the fear. So whenever
Yeah.
we're observing or watching something or reading something, if there is fear within the message itself, that's how I recognize, I'm only speaking for myself, how I recognize that it's part of the inorganic. Because anything that's organic, right, and has to do with our expansion of awareness and heart and enlightenment, whatever words we want to use, isn't fear-based,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm talking about the way that it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from a feeling perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, because it might not even be communicated with the intention of creating fear. Well, or it's subtle, right? But if it makes
It's
you feel like
subtle.
I need to go and like start buying a bunch of groceries and storing stuff away, and like if you have a feeling of any type of fear, that makes total sense to me, because that there has been so much information out there. It's hard, and using discernment is huge, right? You have to use discernment.
Right.
And
You want to use discernment when we're watching videos, or, like I said, reading things or talking to people. And we learn a lot from conversations and watching and reading, obviously. But go back in here and listen to how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Always bring it back within. I know we only have a few minutes left. It went by so quick. Sarah, will you do me a favor, honey, and tell everybody where they can reach you if they want to buy some of your art? Because that's just your latest piece. And I have been privy to your beautiful artwork for a while now. If someone wants to reach out, where can they reach out?
Well, I'm still working on getting my website up. I was hoping that I would have it done, but because everything has just been a little crazy. We just moved on July 1st, so I still haven't gotten around to that. But they can find me on Facebook. My name is Sarah, Sareh, Remer, Remer. Otherwise, I am on Instagram, and I always post all my artwork on there as well. And it's at SR212.
Beautiful. I know it's beautiful. I have one of your earlier pieces. Thank you. And I've had that for a long time. I do want to bring Todd back in because this is something new we're trying with Sology. Todd, do you want to come back in?
Where am I? Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Hang on. Let me just, I didn't know if you could see me while I was off camera, because I haven't done this. Can you see me all right?
Oh. We can see you, we just can't see ourselves.
Yeah, what happened to y'all? That's weird. Okay, hang on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, all right. That was beautiful. What did you think,
Todd, of our pop-up show?
I thought it was awesome. I was just thinking to myself, how cool Anna, because I've helped a lot of people over the years start, doing stuff like this, and there's always a lot of apprehension, but I got to say, both of y'all just jumped in it with both feet, and one thing I've learned about this with myself and with other people is the more you do it, the easier it gets, and I think y'all I think you just hit it out of the park. I mean, I actually teared up a couple of times because it was just I'm doing it now. So I know the energy's strong right now, and but I really feel like that what you two have brought to the table is something that we're going to be seeing more and more of. So I'm really happy to be supporting it, and I don't want to sound condescending at all, but I'm really proud of you, both of you. I really am.
Thank you, Todd, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of Sology in a different expression. I'm looking forward to doing more shows with you and co-hosting or hosting some more. Sarah, I know that we'll see you on here again. Welcome to the family. Thanks, everybody. Be blessed.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.